Glycolysis is the process in which glucose turns into pyruvate, and it's the first step in cellular respiration. The full reaction is up here at the top, and it's glucose plus NAD plus 2 ADP plus 2 phosphates, and it yields 2 pyruvate plus NADH plus 2 ATP. The process begins with glucose, and first 2 ATP deposit a phosphate group onto the glucose, and then that results in ADP. And this new 6-carbon sugar with the phosphate is then cleaved into 2 3-carbon molecules, which can be seen. Here's the 2 ATP turning into ADP, and then here's it being cleaved.
In the process to turn into pyruvate, the NAD plus for both 3-carbon molecules gains an electron to form NADH. 2 ATP are also formed, so 4 ATP total are produced here. The net production is 2 ATP because we use 2 ATP to attach phosphate groups to the glucose molecule. Glycolysis is evolutionarily significant because it is a simple way for a cell to produce ATP, and because it does not require any organelles, it can be done by both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, and thus is most likely the first way ATP was produced.
Following glycolysis, the cell can take one of 2 routes for the pyruvate to go down. The first one is aerobic respiration, and then the other one is fermentation or anaerobic respiration. And the gist of what happens in fermentation is that pyruvate turns NADH, which was produced in glycolysis, and it turns it back into NAD+, so that it can be used in glycolysis again. And that's pretty much just what happens.
Now it is time for some questions. What is the starting molecule in glycolysis? So the answer to this question you may know is glucose. Now this brings us to the question, what do we end with in glycolysis? So as we learned before, we end with pyruvate. This brings us to the last question, what is the net ATP produced? So, in the beginning, you use 2 ATPs, and then you produce 4 ATPs later, so that brings us to a net production of 2 ATP.